Well, guys, how do you all feel this morning? How are we feeling this morning? Are we ready for it? Battle fever is on firm this morning. It's out walking the dog. I didn't get time to record the video last night, so I thought I'd do a quick one this morning. Obviously, with the live stream coming up at just before 12 of the game today. The game, it's a must-win game, isn't it? Absolute must-win game today. Not even a draw is acceptable today. It's got to be the 3 points. It's got to be the win. We want to go into the international break top of the table. And I think it's also like laying down that marker, isn't it? I think it was a great point made on a pod I was listening to earlier this week that said, I don't think there's been an Old Firm game in history where two managers have been under such pressure going into a game. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers under a lot of pressure at that lot. Because of the poor performances they're coming off the back of against the Cup exit at Kilmarnock and then the draw against St Johnstone at Parkhead. And then Michael Beale, obviously, team's not really performed to the best of its capabilities this season. And that debacle in Eindhoven during the week really does leave us in a position where only a win will be good enough. And it has to be 3 points today. I don't understand any fans saying, I'd take your hand off for a draw at this point. It's about laying down a marker. It's about winning a game. And I think for Michael Beale especially, it is very important that he gets the 3 points today because, let's face it, he has not won a game that actually matters yet for Rangers. The League Cup final against that lot, we lost. Cup semi-final against that lot, we lost. The game against Parkhead, at Parkhead, where, I know we were a long way off, but theoretically we still could have got back into the league. We lost. It was the draw at Ibrox as well. So, realistically, he hasn't yet beaten them in a game that really matters. I know all Old Firm games matter, of course. I get that. But there wasn't really anything riding on that game at the end of last season that we won against them. It needs to be a game that actually matters, a game that I think something's riding on. And this something is riding on today's game. It's that initial laying down of the marker, isn't it? It's that initial setting the tone. And Michael Beale is under pressure to deliver the victory today. I think one of the big worries going into this game today is the fact that, does Michael Beale realistically know his best team? Does he know who the best players to play are? Does he know the best players for each position? Does he know his system? Do the players know the system? I think that is one of the big fears for me at this moment in time, is the fact that we don't appear to have a clear set of tactics, a clear shape, a clear vision, or a clear system that actually works yet. Is it gelling? Is it lack of message? Is it lack of clarity of message? What is it? I think a lot more answers will be given and finished by 2:00 today, when we all know the outcome of the game. Players have really got to deliver today. For me, this man here has got to have a massive game today. Todd Cantwell, I think a lot will depend on him. They have a genuine fear of him. They have a genuine dislike of him. He's a player who can turn a game, a player who can dominate a game. He didn't have the greatest of games in Eindhoven during the week. He's got to have a great game today. He's got to dominate. He's got to dominate possession. He's got to create chances. Another thing that he's got to pick up on, obviously, is his goal scoring production and his assist production, which has not been there this season as yet. So, that's something else we need to develop. So Cantwell, I think, has to have a huge game today for me. But in terms of, this game today, what is the best lineup to pick? How do we line up? My hope is that he won't go too defensive, that he will take the handbrake off. He's talked about taking the handbrake off, hasn't he? He's talked about getting the handbrake off. He's talked about playing, with a bit of a swash and buckle, maybe, I think is it, in our way of playing. And we certainly haven't seen that. The handbrake has been firmly on. And look, when you pick defensive midfielders, or you pick two defensive midfielders, you put the handbrake on. And I certainly hope today that he won't do that. How I would line up. What is my lineup for the game today? Well, this is how I would line up if I was picking the team. And you might say, thank God you're not picking the team, Owen, but this is my lineup. Jack Butland in goal, back four. The back four, unfortunately, does pick itself. We don't have any other options, really. I suppose Leon Balogun is an option, but James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, John Suter, and Borna Barisic. Heard a great point last night. I think it was on Rabble. Did you know that take out John Suter, this is the same back four, or three of the same back four that faced Celtic 5 years ago? Let me just let that sink in for a minute. There's 3 of the 4 players who play today probably will be the same back 4 that faced Celtic 5 years ago. It really does, I suppose, we have not addressed the defence and really worked on the defence this year. That's a bit of a concern for me, a little bit of a concern. Midfield, I'd play with Jack as the holder to shield the back 4, and Raskin and Cantwell in front of him. I think Cantwell drops back into the midfield, provides a bit more bite, a little bit more dig in that midfield. Raskin gets a bit more freedom to go forward, play him in his natural role, let him be his natural player. I think at times this season when he hasn't performed as well, it's because he's not been used in the right position. He's not been used in his natural position. So given that freedom to roam. Lammers, put him out there, sink or swim. Realistically, I'd like to start Tom Lawrence there, but Michael Beale himself has said that Tom is not ready to start games yet. So there we go. So he's not going to start today. You've got to pick Kemar Roof. For me, Kemar Roof is the natural selection. The guy's got to play. He scores goals. He will score goals. If you don't pick Roof and you pick Dessers over Roof, it really does show a flaw in his management. I would start Danilo alongside Roof. Bit more creative, but something different. I think a player that Celtic will not be able to cope with. I think, you put Dessers up there, who's more about the physical side of the game. Celtic will cope with that. I think that'll play right into their hands. I don't think Dessers is a player for today. I think Dessers is a player to play against other teams that are perhaps less able to put up with the physicality. Celtic will be set up to put up with that. I know Carter Vickers is not playing today, but the same thing, I just think they'll be better cope with him. Plus Dessers, I just have no confidence in him. The fact that, chance will drop to him and chances will be at a premium today. I really do think that. And if it drops to him, he'll miss it. And it could cost us, as it did in Eindhoven during the week. He takes that chance, puts us 1-0 up. Who knows? I don't know. There we go. So I would start. That's how I would start the game today. Like I said, you might think, thank God he's not starting the game. He's not picking the team today. But it's a must-win game. It's a game today like no other. It's going to be an intense battle. And like I said, it's a game we've got to win. Only 3 points is acceptable today. Anything else is not good enough. A draw is just a result that shows that perhaps we are not moving in the right direction. A defeat would be an absolute disaster. Yes, I know the league isn't gone at this stage, but you go into a situation where you're behind them by even more points going in to the international break off the back of that gubbing in Eindhoven, a defeat. 2 defeats in these 2 games is just unthinkable. And if it happens, Michael Beale will be under masses of pressure. Now, I'm not saying sack him, but I am saying the pressure will come onto him firmly and questions will be asked of his summer recruitment and of him as well. How I think Michael Beale may line up? Well, Michael Beale, I think, will line up very differently to how I would line up. I think his conservatism will get the better of him. I think we'll see a very conservative lineup, which I think will play right into their hands. Back 4, same back 4 that I picked, and we'll touch on Borna Barisic in a minute. Midfield 3, I think he'll play Raskin, Lundstram and Jack, which for me is way, way too negative in this game. John Lundstram should be nowhere near this team today. Absolutely nowhere near this team today. He'll hold us back. He's more likely to get sent off. He'll put the handbrake on. And when you play Celtic, if you play with the handbrake on, if you sit back and you let them come to you or come at you, you are going to play right into their hands. You want to beat Celtic, you have to go at them from minute 1. You have to be in their faces, straight into them from minute 1. You sit off, you let them play, you lose. And Michael Beale hopefully has learned that lesson from last season. Cantwell in the hole, he'll probably play. And I'd say he'll probably start with Dessers and Roof up front. Like I said, I would not start with Dessers. I do not trust him at all in this game. I think he will let us down big time in terms of taking chances. Massive must win today, guys. Absolutely massive must win for me. It's huge. It's huge. It doesn't get any bigger than today. It really doesn't. This game today is a 3-point must. Like I said, it's got to be a performance where from minute 1 we go after them, we get into them, we're at them from minute 1 until minute 90. It has to be a 90-minute display from Rangers today. Not a 20-minute here, 20-minute there game, not a 60-minute game, a 90-minute game. If we don't deliver that, even as bad as they are at the moment, I can see us struggling. Really do hope that Michael Beale takes the handbrake off today, plays aggressively, puts in those players that are going to attack, and that we don't see John Lundstrom on the field at all. As for Borna Barisic, well, look, Borna has caused some controversy this week. He went off injured against PSV Eindhoven. I got a bit of criticism yesterday for suggesting that he was perhaps feigning injury. But, you know, it's not the first time he's done it. It's not the first time when things haven't been going his way that he's been injured and then suddenly made a miraculous recovery. It's happened again for this game. He comes off in that PSV Eindhoven game when he's getting taken to the cleaners, and then suddenly he's fit again for the game against Celtic this weekend. Interesting, very interesting from Borna. I mean, in a way, thank God he's back, because at the end of the day, who else have we got to play left back? I suppose Adam Devine could come in and play there, Dujon Sterling, although Dujon did not have the best of games when he came on Wednesday night. But I suppose when you're walking into that dumpster fire, I don't think anyone would. I think you could probably take the best left back in the world, whoever that is at this moment in time, put him onto that field in that dumpster fire of a game on Wednesday night, and you're going to struggle. So 3 points today, absolute must, guys. Please come and join us for the live stream just before 12. And obviously we'll have the post game at 7:30 this evening for you to come on. It'll be your show, your chance to give your view on today's game. Hopefully it is a positive one. Thank you so much for choosing to watch, listen to another episode of Glasgow Rangers Nation. Sorry, it's not a normal video, but like I said, I haven't had time today to sit down with the equipment. Got a busy day before the game starts at 12. Thanks for watching. As always, 2 things I need you to do for me. Number 1, smash that like. Number 2, as always, remember, we are the people.